Yo guys, what's going on? Robert Warshack here. We're going to be taking a look at the best twist decks to play right now. Unfortunately, this format, I wanted to wait a couple days to play the format, get a bunch of games under my belt, and then go ahead and make a decision on the best decks. Unfortunately, 4 or 5 days was too long to wait. The meta's been solved in twist, and the best decks are just the best decks, and there's not a lot of room for other decks to have fun right now, at least at Diamond 10 to Legend. If the other ranks are different, let me know. But right now, these are the only decks that you're going to see at Diamond 10 and below. I had like an 80% against Rogue and a 20% against Warlock over like 25 games. Those are the only 2 decks I played against in 25 games. So first one's going to be the Jade Cthulhu Rogue. People are just playing Jade Rogue or just Cthulhu Rogue. Jade Cthulhu Rogue is generally what you're going to see. This deck just pops. The new Scarab Lord is insane. The new Jade Telegram is insane. It's just a super fast deck. It does everything that a deck wants to do, like kill your opponent, and it does it very effectively and efficiently. So Jade Rogue, definitely one of the best decks, and what I played against about 80% of the time in Twist. Whether it's just Jade or just Cthulhu or a mixture of both, it's the same shit. But yeah, it looks like this, and it scoots. Discard Warlock. So for a long time, discard decks were a joke. This is no joke. The Chamber, this card is cracked. Look at 3 cards in your hand, choose one, discard it, draw 2 cards. This is insane with stuff like the Imp. It's insane with Tiny Knight, because Tiny Knight, whenever you discard a card, you get +2/+2 now. Also, Soulfire discards a card. Fist Jurassic when you discard a card. Silverware Golem, Dark Bargain, Doomguard. You know what I'm saying. They even got a new card that summons a 1/3 Voidwalker with Taunt if your opponent has more minions repeat it. So it's a Spreading Plague, but for Warlock for 4 mana instead of 6. So this deck, insane. In my opinion, might even be better than that Jade Rogue we just looked at. I can tell you that this deck beat me every single time I played against it. This card Warlock is insane, and I don't see any legendaries in it, so it's gotta be, I guess, some budget friendly, right? So moving on to Freeze Mage, I picked this in the lineup because it's really good against the hunters I'm playing against. It's good against Zoolock, and it's good against the Jade Rogues. And it's good because it's able to freeze the board through Frost Nova and Blizzards, and then you play stuff like the Doomsayer. It also has access to Ice Block, which is huge. You haven't seen Ice Block in a long time. And the card is, I'm glad it doesn't exist in Standard, because this thing is insane. Rogue has very little healing. Healing is a hard thing to find in Twist, just because things aren't free like they are in Standard format right now. Everything's free. Healing, draw, damage, OTK, everything is so different in Standard. Twist, you actually have to pay mana for stuff, and because of that, Freeze Mage does exceedingly well, because you're allowed to play around stuff that your opponent's doing. If you know they don't have healing, you know how much damage you need to do to kill them, and you can kind of plan that out. So I think Freeze Mage is in a really good spot in Twist right now, and I think you'll have a good time with it if you enjoyed Freeze Mage in the past. So our last deck is going to be a Cthulhu Control Warrior. So a lot of people are playing the Bomb N'Zoth Warrior, and that's a majority of the warrior that I'm seeing in Twist. However, if you're in a mirror matchup against Warrior, which I'm finding a lot, and you're both playing the same just N'Zoth Warrior with bombs in it, you're not at an advantage. So what I found is I also just threw Cthulhu in the deck, and then I increased my win rate against every other warrior to about 95%. So whenever I have a mirror matchup, I automatically win because I have twice the win condition. And while this deck is a little weaker against aggro, it was already kind of weak against aggro from the start. Like if you're going to play against the discard lock, you're probably going to lose. If you're playing against a Jade Rogue, you're probably going to lose. But if you're playing against any other deck like Control Priest, Control Warrior, Druid, Shaman, literally anything other than the 2 best decks in the game, you're going to do fine, along with queuing against any warrior. And that's because, again, you're running Cthulhu and the N'Zoth with all of the bomb packages. So you have the Blast from the Past, which gives you Death Rattle bombs. You have Belchers, which are Death Rattles, Iron Juggernaut, which is the Death Rattle, Dr. Boom, which gives you 2 Boom Bots that are Death Rattles, and then N'Zoth is going to bring back your Belchers, your Iron Juggernaut, and all the bombs that came back, which is really good. It was hard to fit everything in this deck. I actually played this deck the most out of any deck so far in Twist, and this is the current list that I have with it, and it was hard to, like, make room. I even had to cut an Ice Stalk, just because this is something normally you're playing in the later stages of the game, and I found that against more mid-range and aggressive decks, I don't have time for Ice Stalk. We need to play stuff like Death Spite, Disciple, Blast, Alkalite, Shield Block. You know what I'm saying? We can't play a 4 mana like 2/2 or 3/3 because we didn't draw our Cthulhu cards yet to buff it up. So with that, those are my best decks for Twist right now. If more information comes out, then I'll have it. But right now, Twist is this is just the best right now and what I've seen people playing. So with that, enjoy. As always, I'm Robert Warshack, and happy whatever the hell date is.